welcome back again. In this session I'm going to work on making a lead patch using various combinations of all the things we've learned so far, so let's get stuck straight into it. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a very simple but nice sounding arpeggiated lead part. So let's start with an initialized patch and then give oscillator 1 8 voices, but set it to square wave so it's fairly buzzy but hollower than the very rich sawtooth, so it sounds like this. Then we'll add some detuning to those voices, maybe setting it around 40% so we can get more width and character, and it sounds like this. Now let's add some filtering. The effect I want to create is to have the filter closing when a note is played, so we only get the high frequencies sounding at the very start of the notes, which will give it a bright transient. So I'm going to add a low pass filter now and leave the settings as they are, which will remove the top end so it sounds like this. Now we can use mod envelope 1 to control the level of the cutoff. So we'll set the target parameter to cutoff A. Then I'll set the modulation amount a little in the negative direction and turn the sustain up to full. This will make the cutoff position of held notes lower than the amount set in the filter section as it's being modulated fully in a negative direction. So it sounds like this. What I can do now though is add in some attack so that the filter doesn't modulate fully straight away but slides down at whatever speed I set it. A very short attack will create a brief transient, whereas a longer one will cut out the higher frequencies more slowly. So it should sound like this. That's basically made the sound the way I want it, so now let's add the arpeggiator. I want to create a pattern using the steps at the bottom, so I'll put it in step mode, and then I'll wrap it at 8 notes, so it's just going to play whatever notes are set in page 1 of the grid here. Now I want to have a nice ascending pattern here, so I'll transpose step 2 up by 3, creating a minor third interval, and then step 3 up to 5, and then have step 5 going up to 7, and step 7 going to 9, leaving all the other steps as they are. So we'll have the root note repeating throughout, with the other steps ascending through a few notes in what's actually a modal scale, ending in the interesting 6th degree. So it sounds like this. I think it can sound a bit clipped with the ARP steps set to this length, so if I bring up the gate setting to max, you can hear the steps are longer, and you get the entire filter sweep sounding rather than cutting off in between steps, so it should sound like this. Now I'll add the delay. I'll change the delay times though, so we have a triplet minim or 1/2t set on the left hand side, and then a dotted quaver or 1/8d on the right hand side, which will create a nice stereo effect. I'll leave the feedback as it is, but one thing we could do is add a little filtering perhaps with a low cut, maybe turning it up halfway or so, which will remove some of the bass frequencies from the delayed sound. So it should now sound like this. And then lastly, I'll add some reverb to it as well. The default settings actually sound quite nice, but we could bring down the size a little bit to decrease the reverb time, and maybe bring the dry-wet dial down a bit too, to make the effect slightly subtler. And then that's our lead patch done. So that's our lead patch done as an arpeggiator. In the next session I'm going to go through making another lead patch, but I'm going to focus more heavily on evolving pads and using a lot more of what we've gone through in other sessions so far. So I'll see you there.